Generator. I am Greg Tito, and I'm joined by Brandy Camel. Hi, Brandy.
Hi, Greg. How are you today?
And hi, Banks. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Binks is a new kitten that we are very excited to welcome to Random Character Generator, the segment where we roll up a random third-level character on D&D Beyond, get all of the fun decision-making out of the way, and then Brandy and I improvise and make up what that character's backstory might be. And so, without much more talking about it, let's go ahead and do it.
Sounds
we
good.
have, oh, wow.
This
Aida
is super
Goldfound.
Aida Goldfound. All right. All right.
Lotus Den Halfling, third level Artificer.
Artificer. Ooh. Okay. So this is super interesting. For those of you who aren't aware, Lotus Den Halflings are a type of halfling that is found in Wildmount. So Explorer's Guide to Wildmount is where you would find this variation on halfling. They tend to be really naturey. So the idea of an artificer in this regard is a little bit against their inherent nature, but you know that doesn't mean that it's not something we can't explore.
Right? That's what makes it interesting. Mm-hmm. And the background is a sage researcher.
Ooh, okay.
Around oh yeah,
this lines up really well, to be perfectly honest. So this is someone who, honestly, I could even see you subbing in that sage background for like the Cobalt Soul background in Wildmount as well. Would line up really, really well in terms of the like pursuit of knowledge and wanting to explore new avenues and uncover secrets and things of that nature.
That's super cool. As far as stats go, 10 strength. Decent dexterity. Highest is in Constitution, which I'm not sure that's going to be very useful.
That's a pretty chunky Constitution. This is a hardy halfling.
A hardy halfling with then pretty basic 13 intelligence, 13 wisdom, 11 charisma. So nothing really outstanding there. Just a very hardy artificer, trained in Arcana, history, perception.
You know, I could see this being the type of character who is, ideally your craftsman in your campaign. It's somebody that you go to maybe get your armor or weapons enchanted or get the latest cool toys. I could easily see this being your almost what's the word for it? I'm totally blanking on the name of the character, but like this is your 007 equipment.
Like a Q?
Yeah, this is like your Q character, but, in halfling artificer form.
Yeah. Okay, I could see that too. Yeah. And then as far as tools that they're proficient in, Aida has got cobbler's tools, so it can make some amazing boots or shoes, glass blowers tools, thieves tools, and tinker's tools. So it could definitely be a character who has like a workshop that is constantly making magical inventions. But I love that the nature thing. So do you think that they would be outcasts of their culture, or would they be just an eccentric?
Actually, this is somebody who's using technology for the pursuit of preserving nature, or helping recover an area that's been war torn or destroyed by some other forces. That could be an environmental researcher. I could very easily see taking a twist on artificer and going that way with it.
I definitely think so. I love the name Aida Goldfound.
Goldfound, yeah, that's such a cool name. Goldfound is one of those names that you could almost go. You could go gnome with it. You could go halfling with it. You could go dwarf with it. This is a very flexible last name.
Yeah. I feel like maybe their family was some type of miners or, discovered, a bend in the river that had gold nuggets in, and they would pan for gold, and that's how they got their family name. And that wealth provided Aida with the ability to purchase all these tools and create this workshop where none existed before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, would you think that they would be and just with the name Aida, and it's spelled Eida,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking this is a feminine character, right?
I think so too. Yeah, this I'm definitely leaning more feminine with this character. I age-wise, I could see it going all over the place. This could be someone who's very young in their career. This could be somebody who's very experienced and has had the time to kind of evolve their craft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could you could go kind of any direction, age-wise, I think.
And with being a sage, for some reason, that just feels like a, I don't know, I'm getting like the big gray beard and gray hair and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But you're right; it doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, a very old character, but learned.
Learned for sure.
And then as far as spells chosen, there's Booming Blade,
Always good to have.
Druid Craft, which might be from the Lotus Den
Yep.
lineage,
Yeah.
Resistance,
That's always handy to have.
always a good at will cantrip. And then first level spells got Entangle, Shield, and Thunder Wave.
Yeah, that entangle also comes from the Lotus Den halfling background.
Yeah. Yeah, so how exactly is this artificer druid folklore kind of, dramatized in Aida's character in your mind?
I do actually really like the idea of that like environmental scientist character. I mean, you could almost go a little like poison ivy with this character if you really wanted to. Where she's a verified scientist. She's very intelligent and knowledgeable about these things. But at the end of the day, the plants are what matters, or nature's what matters. That's what needs to win out.
Yeah, with the glass blowing tools, I immediately went perhaps a little bit more into the inebriant side of things, but that would mean that they would also have the ability to create a greenhouse, which is something
Yeah.
that is not super common in D&D fantasy stories, but would be perfect for this character. So they would be tending an entire crop of herbs or foodstuffs or anything that would be important for the community.
I could see it as like conservation of endangered plants, things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a character who's decided to head out to Jorhas, which is a very war torn area of Wildmount, and they've found an endangered plant that they want to kind of cultivate and bring back, and building a greenhouse and building this idea of like the ideal setting for this plant to flourish. And having those two sides of their knowledge, both the know-how of nature, but also just the know-how of science doing part of the job too.
Weird little bits here for their languages learned. We got
Those are
Abyssal
interesting
and
choices.
Celestial.
Well, Jorhas, in terms of its history, was one of the areas where where like the major war between the gods happened in Exandria. So maybe that's kind of the basis of this is needing to know the history of that area. Being trained in history aligns really well with this.
That makes
So
sense.
maybe that's part of the play of doing all of this research.
Right. Now, do you see Aida as an adventurer, as someone that would go out and try to find these plants, and maybe that's her motivating factor, but she would still go back, home occasionally? Yeah. What are you envisioning her adventuring career like?
I could see this as being that type of adventure. There's a recurring character type that happens, and of course I'm gonna go super offshoot nerd here for a moment, but I'm super into like the Harvest Moon Story of Seasons kinds of games. There's always this character who's around who's like the traveling naturist who goes off to find super rare flowers and plants and bring them home to their hometown. So that's kind of where the inspiration I've got in the back of my mind that's I'm definitely tapping into for this.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then as far as being able to do some of the artificer type stuff, they would build magic tinkering, as well as the artillerist is their specialty.
Which is that definitely leans you more in the adventuring kind of nature, right? Like
Right.
artillerist is a very like offensive style of play for artificers. So I think that aligns actually pretty well.
Do you
for being
think?
more the adventuring type.
Yeah. Do you think that their artillery looks like plants?
That could be kind of cool. You just go like full Plants versus Zombies mode, and
Yeah,
I love that idea. I think that's awesome.
I do too. Yeah, because then their main thing is they're able to create a cannon, an eldritch cannon, at third level,
Yep.
which could be really cool as being like a plant like thing.
Yeah. Just carrying around a pea shooter, like a literal pea shooter.
A little picture. That is very cool. I like that too. All right, what does Aida Goldfound look like?
Oh, what does she look like? So I guess we probably need to settle on age as part of that, right? In terms of figuring that out. I know with Lotus Den halflings, they tend to have kind of offshoot naturey color style hair. So this could be somebody with like wild green hair or different kinds of autumn brown or things of that nature. It really depends on the direction you want to go to. I'm
Nice.
kind of leaning more the like maybe like a rust brown of the kind that blends the two sides of her, right? With the metalworking side of being an artificer, but also like the kind of autumnal or grounding to earth sort of color palette.
Okay. Yeah, I like the rust-colored hair. What about how are they neat? Does Aida keep herself looking, always gone, or is she more of the disheveled, druid who, Radagast them around?
Yeah, I'm thinking more the disheveled type.
Yeah,
Like this is someone who that you pop into her shop or her tinker's workshop or something. She pops out from behind whatever she's working on. She's just covered in dirt and grime and whatever the leftovers are of what she's working on.
that's cool. Did you ever watch the Tinkerbell movies?
I haven't, but
They were big
I
in my house when with my kids. And what I always loved about them is they take this character from Peter Pan and they make her an engineer. She's a tinker. She's a tinker fairy. And
that
so
makes
she's
sense.
making all of these things. And as we're describing this, I just was like, oh, wait, this is Tinkerbell from those movies. She's
Totally.
basically, using nature, using things that she finds that are mechanical, but then combining them with the love of nature in order to, do what fairies need to do, which is, make sure that nature is working. And so I feel like there's something like that, and that is Tinkerbell's shtick, where she was always covered in, grease or whatever, and never quite as fancy as the rest of her friends are. Which I
Yeah,
think,
I could see that being Aida's chosen look, or rather, just like choosing to not care that much about it.
exactly. All right. So what does she sound like? What is Aida's voice?
Oh, what does she sound like? I always tend to go a little bit higher for my halflings. I don't know why that is, but I think she's probably a little bit fast paced. She's got lots of thoughts running through her head. She needs to talk a lot about the things that she's got going on. And oh wait, I have this thing I totally need to show you. This is going to be really cool. You're going to love this. I think excitable, fast paced. That's kind of where I'm going with this character.
I love it. I love it. That's mine. Fast talking. Always on to the next thing. Can't let her thoughts aren't catching up with her speech necessarily. Love it. All right, cool. Well, I think we got everything here for Aida. Anything else you wanted to discuss before I give a summary?
Oh no, I think we've got like the high notes on this, and this is someone I could definitely see either being an adventurer you run into from time to time, or maybe this is a recurring NPC that you encounter. Your party stops in at one of the towns along the way in Jorhas, or maybe runs into her on the road to your next adventure, and you swap stories and maybe some trinkets along the way. Like that, I could see this being in an either or sort of situation.
Agreed. Yeah. So Aida Goldfound is a Lotus Den halfling. Her family was independently wealthy by finding a bend in the river that had gold within it, and she used that in order to fund her studies. She is extremely fond of learning about new species of plant and wants to conserve and make sure that they stay viable for as long as possible. She taught herself how to blow glass and be a creator of perhaps greenhouses that is able to house some of these things, and well as her workshop. She is an artificer, so she creates lots of contraptions, some of which might be nature based, and allows her love of history to inform the languages that she knows. So she knows a lot about what is going on with the ancient war between the gods, and that's why she knows abyssal, she knows celestial. She was maybe read those original texts in those languages, and therefore she can speak about those subjects very well, in addition to preservation. And she might be motivated to go out and adventure in order to find some rare plants or discover more things about her chosen profession. And she often has a companion slash eldritch cannon that can defend her in battle as like a little pea shooter out there, literally shooting peas out of what looks like a plant's sprouts out there. And she's a fast talking lady, and will always be excitable and ready to tell you about the latest plant species that she found.
I love her. I would
do
play this
too.
character. She sounds fun.
Sounds really fun. Awesome. Well, that's Aida Goldfound. Thank you so much, Brandy, for talking through this random character with me. Where can people perhaps ask you how to voice Aida in their upcoming campaigns?
I'm always happy to talk about all the crazy things that we do here on RCG, as well as just anything we've got going on for Dungeons and Dragons. You can find me most frequently on Twitter at Dainty, DAYNTEE.
Excellent. And you can find a link to Aida Goldfound on D&D Beyond if you want to use some of the stuff that we came up with for inserting her in your campaign. I agree. She would be a fantastic addition as a wandering NPC, or perhaps as a patron wanting you to go out and get some rare plants for her from her workshop.
That sounds great. That sounds like an adventure hook right there.
I know, right? There's like 3 of them in here. It's fantastic. So hopefully you can check out that link and put her in your game. And we'd love to hear from it. I'm at Greg Tito, and please tell us everything about Aida Goldfound in your campaigns.